Coming up on Mountain News this morning, tensions remain high in Minneapolis as protests continue and President Trump threatens to send in federal troops. And the president talks about rural health care during an event at the White House.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Welcome to Mountain News This Morning. I'm Caroline Mueller here with you on this Monday, January 19th. We are inching up on that 5 o'clock hour, so let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmal for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, it wasn't horrible out there. I feel like I've certainly felt a lot colder, but it was still very chilly.
Yeah, and I think that it being as cold as it was on Sunday definitely is kind of tricking me into thinking it's not that bad outside either. But we are looking at a range of some 20s to start off your day. Some folks a little bit colder than others. It's currently 18 degrees in Jonesville and Grundy and 19 in Wise. Now those feels like temperatures with the wind this morning, well, it's a little bit colder. Feels like a range. For some folks, looking at 11-degree feels like temperature in Wise. Other, not changing the temperature too much, 28 in Manchester. So limit your time outdoors regardless. But yeah, thankfully it's going to get warmer throughout the week. Not today, but we're looking at a mixture of those upper 20s and low 30s to start off on Monday. And by the time we head into Wednesday, those 40s will return. So there's a good side of that forecast. But on satellite and radar, we're looking nice and clear with a little bit of some flurries just north of the region. Caroline.
Sounds good, Megan. Thanks. Tensions remain high in Minneapolis as protests continue for and against ICE immigration enforcement as President Trump threatens to send in federal troops. The president says he may invoke the Insurrection Act as 1,500 federal troops await on standby in Alaska. CBS News correspondent Bradley Blackburn reports from New York.
Protesters demonstrated throughout the weekend, as they have every day since the deadly shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis a week and a half ago.
We will not be shut down.
A small group of pro-ICE demonstrators tangled with those against immigration enforcement.
People have been stopped for simply appearing to be Somali or appearing to be Latino or appearing to be foreign. And it's concerning because we also know we're not getting these stories from Irish folks and Norwegian folks here.
Last night on 60 Minutes, the Minneapolis police chief shared his concerns about the killing of Good.
We're in this 2020 moment where all these tensions have been building. And I'm afraid we're going to have another moment where it all explodes.
A top immigration official defends the actions of agents, including those involved in the shooting of Good.
Our officers are told that they give one warning to follow the lawful instruction to stop impeding. If she did not obey that lawful order, then she was going to get arrested.
A new CBS News poll shows more Americans now think ICE is being too tough in encounters compared to November. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Several thousand ICE agents and federal officers are now deployed in Minneapolis. Minnesota's governor has mobilized the state's National Guard as well. If deployed, those troops say they'll wear yellow vests to distinguish themselves from federal guards. President Trump unveiled a new $50 billion program designed to ensure rural communities have access to health care facilities. The president touted the program at a White House roundtable Friday morning. All 50 states will receive at least $100 million a year during the next 5 years. The money is meant to shore up health care coverage in rural communities where many hospitals are facing financial strain.
These funds will go to empowering rural hospitals, strengthening their workforce, modernizing facilities and technology, and ensuring that rural Americans get world-class health care in their own community, right smack in their own community, like they've never had. Meetings that are very important.
President Trump invited Republican lawmakers to the ceremony as he looks ahead to the upcoming midterm elections. Many Democrats support the Rural Health Care Initiative, but point out that the $50 billion program pales in comparison to the more than $1 trillion cut to Medicaid Republicans passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Friday's roundtable was part of President Trump's overall rollout of his solution to the healthcare crisis dubbed the Great Healthcare Plan. According to the White House, the plan would codify the Trump administration's most favored nation deals to get Americans the same low prices for prescription drugs that people in other countries pay. The actual work is up to Congress, though. The plan is more of a wish list turned to-do list for lawmakers. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul introduced the End Welfare for Non-Citizens Act Thursday. It's designed to end the appropriation of taxpayer-funded benefits, including Medicaid and SNAP, to anyone in the United States without legal status. The senator said, quote, "With a national debt exceeding $38 trillion, Washington should not be running a welfare system on autopilot." President Trump suggested that he may put tariffs on countries that don't back his plan to control Greenland. It comes as a bipartisan group of lawmakers traveled to Denmark Friday to show support for the Danish territory. Last week, European nations sent small numbers of additional troops to the island at Denmark's request. On another hot-button foreign policy issue, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado praised President Trump for the U.S. capture of former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. However, the president has not endorsed Machado to be Venezuela's next president. A new Kentucky bill aimed at creating stricter barriers on releasing felons has been officially filed in Frankfort. Logan's Law would make it so anyone found guilty of capital crimes would automatically be ineligible for mandatory reentry supervision. It would also make those found guilty of a violent Class D or C felony ineligible if the parole board unanimously voted not to grant them parole. The law was named after 6-year-old Logan Tipton, who was killed in 2015. Ronald Exantis, the man charged in his death, was found not guilty of his murder by reason of insanity. Exantis served 7 years before being released last fall on mandatory reentry supervision. This new House bill intends to make it so that those situations can't happen again.
If the parole board isn't comfortable with these offenders living in their communities, Kentuckians should not be forced to have these offenders in their communities.
Exantis was arrested in Florida days after his release and is now serving out his sentence in Kentucky. Roberts said so far the bill has received bipartisan support and he's confident it will pass. The average cost of a new car is at a record high. According to the Edmunds and Kelley Blue Book, the average cost for a new ride is around $50,000. No new models under $20,000 remain on the market, and importing cars and auto parts cost 25% more now due to tariffs. The cheapest new car is the 2026 Hyundai Venue at $20,550. Thanks for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News This Morning. Still to come, need some help ironing or steaming your clothes? We'll test out a product that's supposed to basically do it for you.
And we've extended those first alert weather days all the way up until Sunday. I'll have that timeline coming up.